Collins, this woman is not going to sleep here today. It's been 8 months now since we started accommodating her in our home. Her daughter's house is there, and she must leave today. Many years ago, in the beautiful city of Imole, there lived a man named Collins, and he was married to his beautiful wife named Sandra, and they were blessed with three beautiful children named Gladys, Obsaro, and Onome. Collins was a successful businessman and a devout Christian. Collins and his wife were dedicated members of the church. They were known for their benevolence and large heart for God. They were one of the strong supporters of the church. Collins and Sandra's marriage, indeed, was an exemplary marriage. Their relationship was so outstanding and also enviable. Each of them played their roles very well, and this made their family and home a place where the children were loved and happy. Collins and Sandra met years back in the university, and after some years, they got married. Sandra worked in one of the advertising companies as a sales representative with a good pay, and she was doing so well for herself. Sandra, in spite of her tiring job, which came which came with lots of responsibilities, still made sure she tended to her family. Even with the services of a help in their home, Sandra still made sure she did the cooking, was also involved in the cleaning of the house and other chores, also having time for her children and husband. And for Collins, he made sure he provided for his family, making sure they had good comfort and lacked nothing. Little did Sandra know that their kindness was going to change the history of their lives. Sandra, one of the days, had gone to work as usual, so she decided to branch to the shopping mall to get some necessities for the family. As she stepped out from the mall, clutching to the grocery bags, walking hastily to her car, as she had planned to have some rest that evening before cooking dinner for her family. That morning, Collins, who had been busy with some of his clients for some time now, promised to join them for dinner that night. So Sandra decided that she was going to prepare his favorite meal. However, as she approached her car, she could see a woman in her early 60s, well dressed, looking lost and tired, also with this sad look. She was resting her tired body on her car. Good day, ma. How may I help you? Sandra asked, looking concerned. She saw that the woman was very tired and looked weak and obviously needed some rest. Please, ma, I want to move my car, Sandra said in urgency. Oh, is this your car, my child? Please, my child. I'm just returning from a long and tiring journey. I lost the paper containing the address of my daughter, and her phone number is switched off. I cannot reach her on the phone. My daughter and her husband just recently relocated here, and this is the first time I'm coming to visit them, she replied in a weak tone. And I'm also trying to locate my church. So she told Sandra the name of her church. Wow, Mama, what a coincidence, Sandra said. That's my church too. So you say you are from the East? Yes, my child. I'm a retired matron. I have worked in the teaching hospital in Enugu before I retired 2 years ago. I came to see my daughter, but I don't really know what happened. How I lost the paper containing the address she gave to me, she said with pain in her eyes. So, Mama, this is so sad. Okay, just give me her phone number. Let me also try it and see if I can get her. So Sandra had to try and try the phone number the woman gave her, but it was not connecting. So after trying for several times, Sandra, in disappointment, said to the woman, Okay, Mama, will you mind if I take you to my house so you can spend the night there? So tomorrow, we can be able to locate your daughter for you. I will also call our pastor and some other members to know if they could also be of help. So, Mama, just calm down. You will surely reunite with your daughter, Sandra responded assuringly. As you can see, it's already getting late and it's dangerous out here. I can't leave you all alone by yourself. Oh, my child, thank you so much. I really appreciate. I don't mind though. Today have been a very stressful day for me, the woman replied. So Sandra collected the woman's luggages and put them inside the trunk of her car, and they drove home. Sandra, whilst driving, was troubled. She had this fear. She was skeptical if what she was doing was right. A lot of thoughts were going through her mind. What she was going to tell Collins. She doesn't even know who this woman was. She also remembered a lot of sad stories about people who have taken in strangers into their home and the sad tale that came out of their kindness. Sandra was confused. She just hoped Collins understood this woman's condition. So she said to herself, Sandra, you are doing the right thing, so calm down. Soon, Sandra arrived at her house. She opened the trunk of her car and brought down the woman's luggages and took her into their living room. She also knew that Collins was back as she sighted his car parked at its usual space. The woman looked around the whole compound. She was stunned how beautiful the compound looked. She said to Sandra as they walked into their living room, My daughter, your house is very beautiful, she said excitedly. Thank you, Mama, Sandra replied. However, Collins, hearing the sound of Sandra's car, walked into the living room to welcome her, and when he saw they had a guest, he greeted her. Good day, ma. Thank you, my son. Good day, she replied. Please, Mama, you are welcome to our house. Make yourself comfortable. This is my husband. I'll be with you in a jiffy, Sandra replied as she walked to her bedroom. No problems, my daughter. Thank you so much. So Collins with lots of questions as they walked into their bedroom. So Sandra, who is she? And what is she doing here? Is she your relation? Because I know you never told me we'll be having a visitor. Collins asked desperately. Well, I'm sorry. She's not a relation, no. This is what happened. So Sandra narrated the circumstance with which she met the woman. So Collins, that is it too. I tried calling our pastor on the phone, but his phone number is switched off too. See how small this world is. I can't believe she's one of us. She is from the east and also a retired matron. She looks enlightened, and once it is morning, we will help her locate her daughter's house, and that will be all. Sandra reassured Collins. Collins' eyes narrowed. Sandra, you would have called me. I would have preferred we lodged her into a hotel than bringing a stranger into our home. I'm not comfortable at all, Collins said, with worry in his eyes. You know the sad events that has been happening these days. Don't even know what to say about the decision you took without my consent. I just pray and hope this doesn't turn sour. I don't want any problems at all. It's fine, Collins. Just calm down. You know, I couldn't leave that woman stranded. She looked so tired and also elderly. So I believe our kindness would not turn against us. I'm sorry. No, I did not have enough time to think. Sandra continued as they walked back to join the woman in the sitting room. So that night, Sandra made sure the woman was comfortable. She ran her a warm bath and gave her some food. Thank you so much, my daughter, the woman thanked Sandra. And soon they all retired for the night. So that night, Sandra prayed and hoped that the morning would come quickly. As she got so worried and uncomfortable, she could only get a little sleep that night. So the next morning, Sandra hurriedly made breakfast for everybody and the woman she brought home. She made sure the woman had her bath and also some food to eat. The woman was with her luggages, sitting on one of the sofa in the sitting room. So before Sandra left for her office, she told the woman, Mama, my husband will be taking you to your daughter's house. We have been able to get her on the phone. She said that her phone was switched off, that she was so worried for you when she got to the park and couldn't locate you. So she decided that this morning she was going to check the church before we called her. I would have loved to take you, but because of my job, I still have to drop off my children at their school before heading to my office. So my regards to your daughter, Ma, and take good care of yourself, Sandra said. Oh, my daughter, God bless you and your husband richly. Thank you for your kindness. I'm so happy that you were able to get across to my daughter. You and your husband are indeed nice people. And you know, we are now friends. I will surely come back with my daughter to come and thank you specially, the woman replied. So before you leave, let me introduce myself again. I'm Mrs. Okono, or you call me Mama Njide. Njideka is my first daughter. She is based in Lagos. The woman said, That's fine, Mama. I would remember. So Sandra grabbed her handbag and car keys and left the house with the children. Later on that day, before Collins left to his shop, he took the woman to her daughter's house, and they were so grateful. The doctor thanked Collins and his wife for their kindness to their mother. It's nothing, madam, Collins responded. So Mama Njide had to call Collins aside and made sure he collected his number. You see, my son, things have been tough, for my daughter and her husband lately. Please let me have your phone number. In case. And I also need to always be in touch with you and your wife. You both have indeed been so kind to me. No problems, Mama. So Collins gave the woman his phone number and left for his business. However, 2 months later, Sandra had just returned from work earlier than usual that day when she heard the laughter of people coming out from their house. As she drove close to their house, she wondered who they could be. That morning before she left to her office, Collins did not inform her that they were expecting visitors. So she alighted from the car, collected her handbag, and some of the things she bought from the mall on her way back. And as she walked into their living room, she was surprised to see Mama Njide sitting on one of the couches with some other 2 men and Collins. They were served chilled bottle of wine with some fried beef. So they were indeed having a nice time and were also neck deep in their conversations. So when she walked in, she was surprised to see them. Even though she was angry, she wondered how the woman was able to locate their house. Who brought her? Who are these men with her? All these thoughts ran through her mind as she walked into the living room. However, Sandra calmed down. She decided not to get angry, so she went ahead and welcomed the woman and the 2 men with her. As she went into her bedroom, she saw some luggages inside her bedroom. She could recognize the boxes. They belonged to Mama Njide. So how come they're inside her bedroom? Sandra thought to herself. She was confused, could not understand what was happening. As she walked into her restroom, she could also see Mama Njide's towel and her nighties hanging on the hanger inside her restroom. Sandra quickly walked out of the restroom. In anger, confusion, screamed Collins. Collins, she called out the second time, and before she could open her mouth, call him for the third time, Collins walked in, looking surprised at Sandra. Sandra, what is it? Why are you screaming my name like that? Sandra hesitated for a few seconds before she spoke, trying her best to be calm. Please, Collins, what is happening here? Whose luggages are these? And also the nightgown and the towel inside my restroom all belongs to who? She asked urgently, looking confused. It's okay, Sandra. You just have to calm down. Don't overwork yourself over this. Well, these luggages, the nighties and towel, belongs to Mama Njide. See, earlier on during the day, I was at my office when I got an emergency call from Mama Njide. And on the phone, she told me how her daughter and son-in-law got into a disagreement, which also led to a fight, and that she tried to intervene. Her son-in-law, out of anger, kicked her out of their house. He insisted that she was not going to pass the night in their home, that she should return back to the village. So that was how I hurriedly left to Mama Jide's daughter's house. And when I got there, the situation was bad. Her son-in-law locked out Mama Njide outside their compound. I could not even see him or her daughter. I met Mama Njide sitting outside with her luggages under the hot scorching sun with these 2 men. She looked so sad, and as she tried to narrate everything that happened, she broke down in tears. I tried to convince her to go with one of the men, since she said they were her townsmen, but she explained that the men had large families and would not be able to accommodate her with their family. So that is it though. The men were also pleading with me to take her home with me. All they needed to do was to follow me to our house. My dear, I was left with no choice but to bring Mama Njide home. Collins tried to explain to Sandra, who looked at him with confusion. But you should have called me. You shouldn't have taken this decision all alone without pre-informing me. Sandra responded sadly. I'm so sorry. Everything happened quickly, so I had no time to think. Collins responded. So what about these luggages inside my bedroom? Why are they here? She'll be staying for long, so I thought your bedroom would be more comfortable for her. You remember, she's elderly, educated, and also a church member. Collins responded, unbothered. Collins, I don't just like what is happening. We barely know this woman. She's not related to us. Even though she said we attend the same church, I've not even called our pastor to confirm if truly she's one of us. And now, you brought her into our home, right inside my bedroom. Sandra responded in a worried tone. So Collins drew closer and held Sandra's hands. Yeah, it's okay. It's going to be fine. I believe that once she's through with her treatment, she will return back to the village No problems, Sandra replied as she joined Collins back in the living room. She decided to play cool, not wanting any issues with Collins. So after some time, the two men that came with Mama Njide thanked Collins and Sandra for accepting Mama Njide. So that evening, Sandra prepared hot nsala soup and pounded yam for Mama Njide as she requested. That night, Mama Njide, after having a sumptuous meal and a warm bath, slept in Sandra's bedroom. Throughout that night, Sandra was so uncomfortable. She was disturbed. She could barely close her eyes as the thought of a stranger sleeping inside her bedroom. She prayed that their kindness does not turn against them. So for 2 weeks, Mama Njide was served hot nsala soup and pounded yam, some chilled wine, which she took every morning and every night. At first, Mama Njide and Sandra had a good relationship. She was like a mother to Sandra. She spoke kindly to them and treated their children well. Everything was going on well until a week later decided to visit her daughter. She slept over at her daughter's house for 3 days, and before she returned back to Sandra's house, Sandra decided to sleep on her bed as Collins traveled on a business trip outside the town. Sandra noticed she had lots of nightmares and could feel some unseen hands trying to strangle her. She woke up sweating profusely. After some time, she lay back to sleep and the same thing happened. So she quickly left the bedroom and went into her husband's bedroom. And after some time, she was able to catch some sleep. The next day, she tried to sleep in her bedroom, but this time, the nightmare was so bad that she fled back to Colin's bedroom. However, when Collins returned, Sandra tried to narrate to him her experience when he traveled, sleeping in her bedroom for 2 nights. Collins, this is not a fairy tale. This is real. I think that woman has a spiritual problem. I don't want to say exactly what is coming to my mind. I just hope and pray she's not what I'm thinking. If not, Collins, there's fire on the mountain. Oh. It's nothing. Collins said to Sandra, maybe it's a coincidence. That woman looks innocent. At least these past 3 weeks she has been with us. She has been so nice, Collins replied. However, as weeks passed and Mama Njide continued to stay in Sandra's house, things began to get very bad in their home. Sandra observed that her two helps were always getting into one trouble, always making one grievous mistake. They lost money each time they went to buy groceries at the market. The helps were involved in disagreements and fights, which has never happened before. Sandra also observed that her children were always in and out of the hospital. Sandra knew that all was not well, but as she made every effort to make Collins see reasons with her, she always met a wall. Collins was not listening. Collins was now a driver to Mama Njide. All that mattered to Collins was making sure Mama Njide was comfortable, even as their helps left their house. As Mama Njide insisted and advised Collins that he should drive them away, Collins made sure Sandra, after returning from work every evening, served Mama Njide hot nsala soup with pounded yam. This continued to happen over 2 months, and it got to a time Sandra could take it no more. She became offended. Collins could hardly take no decision without Mama Njide's consent. He gave Mama Njide's daughter lots of money, took Mama Njide to the best hospitals, drove her around the town, always at the beck and call of Mama Njide. Collins and Mama Njide gisted and drank wine into the night, making Collins retire to their bedroom very late at night. Collins no longer had time for Sandra or their children. Sandra was so disturbed. She was helpless. She did not know what to do. So one of the afternoons, she left her office during break and dashed to the church. She quickly went to see the pastor, narrated everything that is happening in her home. Sir, I want this woman to leave my house. She has turned my husband into something else. Collins is no longer the man I married. I don't know what this woman's plan is. She looks very desperate and mean, as if my husband is under a spell. It is only what Mama Njide says that my husband will do. My words are mere words to him. Sir, please, I want the church to intervene in this matter. We only decided to take her in, hoping that she would return back to the village or back to her daughter's house after they reconciled. But sir, she have come to stay. I'm helpless here. I don't know what to do. Sandra continued as tears welled her eyes. She looked so sad and disturbed. She was careful not to get into any argument or fight with Collins. It's going to be well, Sister Sandra. I will get a call across to our pastor in the East who could have some information about this woman, because from all you have narrated, I don't think this woman is who she said she is. So you just have to be prayerful. Pray for your husband. Pray for your marriage. I'll also join you in prayers, and I believe everything is going to be fine, the pastor said assuringly. However, 2 weeks later, Sandra was in the kitchen making lunch one Saturday when she got a call from an unknown caller. Madam, I know you don't know me, but I got your number from my sister. You see that woman in your house? She is evil. She is my mother. I'm her eldest daughter. That woman in your house is a witch. She will destroy your marriage if you do nothing. For you to confirm what I'm saying, she will confront you. She already knows that I'm calling you. You see, she took advantage of your kindness. And also, you are still young. My mother have no shame. You can sleep with your husband. She is very desperate. She broke my marriage. She is mean, wicked. Whatever you can do to secure your home, please do. Sandra was confused, trying to get a grip of herself when she got startled by Mama Njide's voice. My daughter, please. I am not who my daughter told you I am. No, she called you. That's how she used to call everybody that tries to help me. Daughter is very wicked. She hates me. I don't even know what I did to that girl. She wants to spoil our relationship. Please, my child, don't give a thought. What she just said, they are all lies. Mama Njide broke down in tears. Sandra's jaw dropped, almost losing balance. Everything that the unknown caller said to her just played in front of her. That was Mama Njide, able to know that her daughter called her. Sandra knew there was trouble, so she pretended, said to Mama Njide, don't worry, Mama. You know you are like a mother to us. After all, how can I take the words of a stranger seriously, even though you confirm that she's your daughter? And you said this is how she has been spoiling your relationships in the past. So don't worry, Mama, Sandra assured her. Sandra decided not to tell Collins about the call from Mama Njide's daughter, as she knew that Collins was blind. So the next day, when she got to her office, she shared her fears with her friend Wendy, who was also her colleague. So during lunch that afternoon, before they had their meal, Sandra, who looked nervous and sad, said to Wendy, my friend, I have entered you. I don't know what to do. You remember that old woman that we took into our home for the past 4 months now? My sister. Remember I shared with you all that has been happening in my home since her return to our house. When there's to speak right now, I pound yam every evening. I prepare fresh white soup for her, which we know as nsala soup. This woman takes wine first thing in the morning and last thing at night. We need to see the money my husband is spending on this woman. Collins is no longer that man that you know. I have almost lost Collins to the tight grip of this woman. Can you believe that last week Collins and I almost got into a fight because of this woman? You can't say me wrong about this woman. Everything she does is right. Can you believe? Last weekend, I got this call from an unknown caller who introduced herself as Mama Njide's eldest daughter, Wendy. She told me that her mother is a witch. She also told me how Mama Njide, her mother, wrecked her marriage and that she was also going to do so to my home if I don't do something immediately. Wendy, I was in the kitchen cooking that afternoon when I got that call. I was still trying to get a hold of myself when Mama Njide tattled me with her voice, and she pleaded with me not to listen to her daughter who just called me. What? You mean Mama Njide told you this? Wendy, you need to see the fear in my eyes. I have never been this shocked all my life before. How she knew daughter called me and said everything exactly what her daughter said. So confirming that her daughter told me that her mother already knew that she called me on the phone. Wendy, you see Collins now. He is tied to the woman's wrapper. I couldn't even share shocking truth with him. Just see what I've landed myself into. Collins is always snapping at our children. Collins, who hardly shout at our children, is always screaming at them, spanking them at every little mistake. At the command of Mama Njide, whatever she says is final. I hardly talk. Even when I try to talk, suggest a thing, Collins would ask me to go and meet Mama Njide for her consent. Wendy, I'm losing my husband. I'm losing my home. I'm helpless right now. I don't even know what to do. Especially with this revelation from her daughter. I don't know what to do, Sandra said, sobbing. Sandra, please, it's okay. You just have to put yourself together. Be strong. To fight for your marriage cannot be defeated. Thank God, the daughter's call, which have revealed a lot of things. From all you have said, that woman is evil, a homebreaker. So you have to be wise. As you can see, your husband, Collins, is already under her control. You have to tread carefully so as not to lose entirely. Just eat up your food. I'll think of what to do. That witch must leave your house, when they replied in a firm tone. However, after work that evening, when Sandra got home, she met Collins and Mama Njide, gisting and laughing as they ate suya and were drinking wine also. When Sandra walked in, she greeted Collins and also Mama Njide, who looked sternly at her. Collins, in anger, said to Sandra, "Why are you returning this late? Our children are already tired and had gone to bed on an empty stomach." "Oh, I'm so sorry. You know traffic now. I did not know I would be held up in traffic this long," Sandra said. Mama Njide responded, "My son, your wife is very lazy and nonchalant. Is this an excuse for your children to go to bed hungry? I've told you that your wife does not take her role as a modern wife very serious. Which one is traffic jam?" So Sandra, in anger, said to Mama Njide, "You will not go back to your daughter's house and go and be commanding her there. What's this now? How can a stranger come into my home and order me around, trying to teach my husband and I how to run our home? Who invited you into this matter?" Sandra said angrily. Is it me you're talking to like that?" Mama Njide said, screaming in a loud voice, "My son, can you see your wife? I told you she's growing wings. See the way she disrespects me, talking to me as if I'm her mate. My son, if you don't bend this woman, if you don't cut off her wings, as I'm looking at her eyes, she will deal with you. You have to do something. Give her a slap. Do something so she could take caution." And before Sandra could say a word, Collins gave her a hot slap. And that was how Sandra, who just returned from work, got into a fight with Collins. Mama Njide sat and just watched them. What she did was encourage Collins to make sure he dealt with Sandra. So as Sandra and Collins were fighting, Sandra slipped and fell, broke her jaw, and was bleeding. Mama Njide screamed, "My son, please leave her. She's bleeding. No, it's okay. At least with this, she's going to learn her lesson." Mama Njide said, unbothered, "Collins, you have to hurry to the pharmacy. You have to get some of these things for me at the pharmacy. I could stitch the cut on her jaw. Also, make sure you lock the doors so she would not alert the neighbors." So before Collins left the house, he made sure he locked the door, left with the keys, dashed quickly to the pharmacy, and returned with the medications Mama Njide requested, got for her. Mama Njide was able to stitch the cut on Sandra's jaw. Sandra cried and cried. She sobbed bitterly. So that night, Collins pleaded for forgiveness. He asked Sandra to forgive him. "Dear, no, this has never happened before. I don't even know what got into me. For the past 12 years that we have lived as a couple, I've not got into a serious argument. Talk more of a fight. Please, Sandra, I'm very sorry. This would never happen again," Collins said, looking remorseful. "Please now, Sandra, forgive me. I promise you that this is not going to happen again." "Collins, nothing much to say to you. If I still mean anything to you, then you have to listen to me. Let that woman leave. Let her go back to her daughter's house. You see all that has been happening since she came into our home." Thank you so much for watching this story till this time. I really appreciate you all for your immense support. Please let's also share our thoughts on what we think went wrong in this family. I want to hear your thoughts on this so we all could learn together as a family. Please subscribe to this channel. If you have not subscribed, give this story a thumbs up so it could get to a wider audience. Also share with your loved ones and friends. Happy New Year to every one of you. And may God grant you success in all your endeavors this year. Thank you so much. And until next time, stay blessed and bye.